Good afternoon. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Real Talk with Brian Poduska. I am Lyndon Wilson, the creator of The Difference. Welcome DFW, Texas, and even all across the nation. We have people in all 50 states that actually watch these shows, and happy to have all of them. Today we're going to have a great show. We got a great guest. Brian, he kills it with the people that he brings on, and I am fortunate enough to have talked to his guest today a little bit before the show. A lot of good information, small business information that we all can benefit from if we're an entrepreneur, small business owner, independent contractor, whatever it may be. And that's what The Difference is all about. It is about spotlighting the small business owners out there and bringing each other together, connecting each other, forming a good community of small business owners where we can support each other, learn from each other, and help make the difference for each and every one of us. We've got a new show. It was supposed to start this week. I've been kind of under the weather, so I pushed that back a week. It's going to be called The Difference Makers. And that show is muted. All right, maybe you can hear me again. Looks like we lost a little connection there. Anyway, I don't know what all you heard, but I think Brian's ready now, so I'm going to bring Brian in. You there?
I am here, Lyndon, and I apologize on my end. I'm having a little bit of connectivity issues here, so I didn't hear the full intro there.
I don't think anybody did. I had a little bit of problem, I think, on my audio as well. So okay. I told everybody how mediocre you are and just kind of all that good stuff. But no, I didn't. Actually singing your praises. I think you're doing a fabulous job with your show. I'm just super impressed, Brian, by the people that you know and that you're connecting with. And there's so much power in that. And I think that we forget that sometimes, that we're all part of this small business community. And if we really make the friendships and connections that we need to make, it goes a long ways in growing our business and sustaining when we have something like COVID. And you are, I would tell anybody that's associated with The Difference or anybody else that you are definitely a great example of meeting the powerful people in our communities and what you're doing to bring awareness to them, share your stage, share your spotlight, share your audience. And that's, not to be corny, cliche, or selfless plug, but that's what we do to make the difference, right?
Well, no, and I appreciate the accolades you've sent this way. You're exactly right, man. I just, you and I have talked about, and when we look at where The Difference has started and where it's come to, and what we're trying to do with it, it's really, we're trying to elevate local business owners and local entrepreneurs. And I think, that is our main focus, at least on this show. And I think overall for The Difference, and it is all about making connections. And whenever I make a connection that makes a lot of sense for the larger community, I want to share that out. And that's really what my show is kind of about. And obviously we're going to talk a little bit of real estate here and there, right? That's sure. Kind of what I do as a property manager, and that's the clientele that I work with. But on the bigger scale, and really looking at what we're trying to do, and that is elevate the local business community. So, hence why we've got our guest today. I'm glad you got to meet Stephen earlier. I'm sorry we had some tough technical difficulties earlier, but Stephen's awesome, and he's when we bring him on, he'll talk about himself and his business. And I think it's pertinent to anybody who either owns a business, operates a business, or really is even a W-2 employee who goes to work every day. You have to figure out how to balance your time. And I think that that is ultimately what Stephen will bring to the conversation today.
Absolutely. Yep. I'm excited to hear more about what he does and how he helps people. We were having a conversation a little bit before about how sometimes as a small business owner, when you have so much to do, you have so many responsibilities, and then you're trying to balance it's not just a job, but your business career with home life. You kind of get locked up in your own little bubble, and sometimes we don't have that support network that would really be beneficial to us and can help us get through some of those most challenging times. And so I think that Stephen and his business, from what I know so far, it's definitely someone that everybody out there that's a small business owner would probably benefit from having him in their circle and part of their network, so that they can learn and understand more. And so can't wait to get him on.
Well, awesome. So we will bring him on very shortly. I just want to give a couple seconds to our business, and that is Real Property Management Focus. So we focus on your real estate investments. We are a full-service property management company that services folks that are either aggressively already in the real estate investing game or potentially looking at getting into real estate investing, and we can help in any aspect of that spectrum. So, we do property location, property purchase. I am personally a licensed realtor here in the state of Texas, so can purchase that property, manage that property, and then obviously in the back end, when you are ready to get out of the real estate investing, sell that property. So that is really what we do. We specialize in, like I said, working with intentional investors. We have some really cool tools that we have here in-house called Wealth Optimizer that helps you look at your real estate investments from a really holistic picture and approach. So it's not just what is my cash flow, it's what is my depreciation and appreciation for the specific neighborhood that you live in or purchase in. So we've got a lot of different ways to look at that investment for you as the investor, and that is us, Real Property Management Focus. We focus on your real estate investments. That being said, again, like I said earlier, what I want to do is bring on our guest today. His name is Stephen Beaver. I met Stephen through a networking group that I'm a part of, and I was kind of blown away really by what he has to offer. So first of all, I'm going to warn you guys, you might want to adjust your TV sets or your screen here on the video here. He's kind of vibrant. He's got some big colors. He's high energy, and which is really what attracted me to Stephen. And I think even beyond that is what he has to offer is fantastic to anybody who is in business or owns a business and really needs that pull to get to the focus of what your life is about. So without further ado, let's bring in Stephen and let him introduce himself and talk about his business.
Awesome. Live from his office in Hawaii. Looks like he's been on the beach.
Hey,
welcome,
guys.
Stephen.
Thanks. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Lyndon. I'm very excited to be here. It's a pleasure. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm going to bring high energy because, hey, why not? I mean, if you do something, go full tilt. So, Brian and I were talking, and he asked me a question like, how did you get into this thing? And really, I got into it because of failure. And so there was a time in my life where I saw my kids in the morning when they went to school, then maybe Saturday afternoons and Sundays, and that's it. And why do I think that? Why does my wife have a better relationship with my kids than I do? And so in my business consulting, I've always wanted to make sure that kids grow up and they become something better and bigger. And I couldn't figure out how to do it. And then it came to me, more family time. Wow, what a concept, right? And so that's where the TMV comes from, take more vacations. Because in over 18 years, I have 5 kids. In over 18 years, we took 4 vacations. Now, couple that with how much time I spent with them during the week, and you can see right away, wow, that's just not right. And I don't want somebody else to go through that, right? So it is personal for me when I take on new clients, because I want to make sure that they get to have the things that I didn't. And so that's where I came up with the TMV. I'm always on vacation now, because life's too short not to have fun. So time management, as Lyndon said, is one of my big things. I call it delete and delegate. And so basically, and especially realtors, their life is like this with their work. It's just going crazy. And then they have their personal life. And so all I do is I delete and delegate until their work life goes down here, and they can take that family life and bring it out here. Because everybody always says the same thing, family first, but their schedule says otherwise. And so I just try to imbalance that the other direction.
Yeah, and that's Stephen. When we talked originally, I mean that is kind of the crux of what your business is, right? So I just want to make that very clear that you are in the business to make people more efficient, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. So that is kind of, and again, I think we're having a little bit of technical glitching, at least on my end, but hopefully you can hear me. But you're exactly right, Stephen. So it's that taking, everybody says this is my why. This is my family is my why, and my business is my means to get to the ends of what my why is, right? And so you're really in the business of simplifying the business aspect and making that more efficient in order to get to that ultimate why.
Yeah.
Right?
Ultimately, my goal is to put you out of business, out of your business, right? So I put you to where, hey, here's the thing. If you can sell your business and not have to work in it, that's good. If you can leave your business for a year and it grows 20%, you own that business. But if it doesn't, that business owns you. And so it's huge that you learn to develop the systems and everything and get the leverage, and real estate, it's the 3 L's. Well, I think it's wrong. There's a 4th L in there that they're missing, right? And that's leadership. You got to follow somebody. You got to follow the leader. That's how leaders are made, right?
Right.
And you develop. And the thing is you don't hire followers. You hire people that are going to be leaders. You have the leader of your marketing team, right? That's a leader, right? If I know more than my marketing guy, we're all in trouble, right? So he's a leader, all right? And so that's just it. So what I call delete and delegate, and we just start whittling it away. For instance, I answer my emails once a day. I answer my texts once a day. That's it. And people are like, well, what if you miss a customer? Well, what are you telling me that my family, because when it's nighttime, well, here's the thing, Brian, if my wife calls right now and I say, just a second, I got to take 30 seconds. Then when you call me at 8:00 tonight, I'm obligated to answer your phone call. Right? So right. With my clients, there's a hard line. When it's working, you're working. When it's play, you play. And then people go, well, what if there's a problem? The problem happens maybe once or twice in your lifetime, but you want to plan for it every day. No, my phone's on mute. I don't have to check it. It's always on mute unless I know there's specific reason. It's always on mute. It's not important. I don't live and die by the phone. I know realtors always say they do, but there's this new thing. It's called an answering service. Shh, don't tell anybody. I'm going to coin that phrase and make millions. But there's always ways to go ahead and leverage, right? So that's
Stephen.
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm losing you guys a little bit. Hold on.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Okay, I'm back. I can see you, Stephen.
Awesome.
Sorry, I got disconnected there for a
No worries.
quick minute. And Landon, are you there?
I am here. Can y'all hear me?
Okay, I got you now.
All right.
You guys are both clear now. You guys have been kind of breaking up a little bit as we've gone along. So I lost connectivity there for a minute.
Okay. Well, Stephen, what I was asking is I said mindset, I think, is one of the most important things that we have to start with. I've always felt that, but I think that your time management and the processes, and I talk to people about that. I'm like, it's ironic that we will plan how to spend our money. We'll plan weddings and trips to the grocery store. We'll plan our cookouts on the weekend. We'll plan our vacations. We plan them down to, it's a science, but we don't take the same approach in planning how to make that money or how to get to the next level of our business. Is that something that you help people with and help them understand the importance? And one last question. People get me because I ask 15 questions at once, but this one, do people think that if I actually start planning and become more disciplined and more organized, that I'm going to lose my flexibility and my and that's really the opposite, right? That's why you do plan, so that you have the more free time.
Yeah. If I'm so structured, then how will I ever get to do the things that I want? And that's like saying, I'm gonna start budgeting when I have money. That never happens. Right? It never happens, right? Because you're gonna do that. So yeah, no, that's totally. But going back to the mindset thing, so I'm gonna flip it on you. When my clients do their calendar for the next year, the first thing they put on there are their vacations. They got to have 6 a year. Then their kids' events, their anniversaries, all the stuff, the life stuff that you don't want to miss. And they're like, well, my calendar will be full. No, it won't. And then the next thing that we put on, I'm only going to give you 2. The next one is personal development, because you said it, mindset. That's where it's at, right? And all my stuff starts up here too, right? Growth mindset with Carol Dweck, grit training with Angela Duckworth, and all the other fancy stuff that you can say, NLP, whatever, doesn't matter. But that's where it starts. And so when they do that, but then guess what? Your mind is clear. Wow, I'm going to do all of this. Now you've got a why to work harder, right? You got 6 vacations you're going to have to pay for. You told your kids, your wife, or your husband. And so you got to produce, right? And so then you start doing things, and we find that at that point in time, it's like, wow. Well, then because if you have till 2 o'clock in the morning to do your work, it'll take you to 2 o'clock in the morning. But if 10 o'clock is bedtime and 6 o'clock is the get up time, and 10 o'clock comes and you don't do it next day, that kicks you in the pants. You got to do something, right? So being more structured actually gives you more freedom, just like you alluded to. It's absolute 100%.
Yeah. Well, and you can replicate it. That's the thing that I think for so many people, for a lot of us, we will find success and we'll be all excited because we had a record month or a record quarter. But then we look back and the next quarter or next month is not so great. It's kind of the roller coaster. And we're like, well, what happened? Well, that's because we didn't replicate what we did before. Why did we not replicate it? We may not have documented why it happened, how it happened. And sometimes it just happens. Sometimes we get lucky, right place, right time. And if we didn't have a plan, at least if you're planning and it works, you know how to repeat the plan, right?
Yeah. Well, Eisenhower said, I found that planning is useless. The plans are useless, but the planning is priceless. That's not exact words, but
that's a good point, though. That's true. That's true. So, even the best plans sometimes go kind of
either
the best laid plans,
or you fail to plan, which is planning for failure. Yep. I mean, you got it. So, and this is the thing, So, can you imagine? I think I'm going to be on Brian's show. I'll get around. I'll plan on being. No, it was in my calendar, right? Boom. 12:30 came on, boom, I'm there, right? And it's the same. And the problem, especially, well, for most entrepreneurs, not just realtors, but is Oh, there's a nice shiny object. Oh, there's a nice shiny. Oh, I could do this. I
Squirrel.
could do that. What? Squirrel? Where? You know. And hey, I'm eating my own cooking. I have the same problem. I have to, really hone in, and I make sure there's only certain things that I do anymore, right? Because I will go off on that tangent just like anybody else. So but now that I know that, you see, now that I understand the mechanics behind that, it doesn't pull me off.
Sure. And it's always a work in progress. And Brian, I'm not trying to hijack your show, but I do have one more question I think is so important here. In planning for a small business owner, in planning for a small business owner, there's something that I kind of, and maybe other people that talk about it too, but I talk about behavioral branding. As a small business owner, when you're the face of your company, whatever that may be, how we're perceived by others has a lot to do with our brand. How much do you think it would help the more organized and structured we are to help that behavioral brand for other people to see it and go, they've got their stuff together? I mean, they are, if they say they're going to do it, if they say they're going to call, if they say they're going to, I mean, is that important for the brand as well? Does that create value? Yes,
and branding goes further than that. Keller Williams in their bold training talk about practice drilling. I call it PDR, practice drilling, rehearsing your scripts. That's a brand. You're branding yourself when you say exactly the same thing, and then everybody always says the same thing. Well, I don't practice that stuff because I want to come off authentic. I want to come off no. Look, there's a guy called Hannibal Lecter, and he was played by a guy. Do you really think that guy ate humans? Right? No, but we certainly believed it. We're scared to death, right? Because he practiced his lines, right? So yeah, branding yourself. This is what I wear. This is it, and right? So, but I'm the change agent, right? You're going to take 6 vacations this year. That's it. That's my brand, TMV. I mean, there's lots of good. Believe me, I'm not the only fish in the pond, right? There's lots of good business consultants out there, but I decided that this is where my focus is, and because if you focus it down to the ridiculous, you have no competition, right? So I look at realtors. Great. What kind? Luxury, residential, commercial? Well, just realtors. Well, then you're not really special. I go residential realtors. You're not special. Residential realtors that are moms and dads, you're still not special. Moms and dads that have kids, you're still not special. Kids that are in elementary school, you're still not special. Kids in elementary school that are in some types of sport or activity, still not special. I want a realtor that also has all those things and are making $100,000 a year and want to go to $1 million. How many business consultants do you know that have that specific of a line?
And you know what, Stephen, that was something that really resonated with me when we were discussing, your business and kind of what your focus is, because I mean that kind of speaks to me personally, right? Like I have kids that are in sports. I have very little free time. The other metrics that you mentioned, very very fitting, right?
Yeah. So elementary school. Why elementary school? Because for me, I saw my son's t-ball practice, the first one, and that's it. I don't want anybody. Elementary school is when everything happens and parents want to see it, right? They also have more time. 1 to 3, they don't have so much more time. Changing diapers and all that kind of stuff, right? Teenager years, kids are doing their own thing. So there's a very specific reason why, and it doesn't have to do with them. It has to do with me and my failures, right? That was the problem. My son, I won't go into that, but he learned to count money, real money, because back then you had cash, right? Every Saturday. Okay. So but there's the thing, right? That's about the only thing that we can really talk about that I'm like, wow. So I all those metrics are because of my failures. And I promise you, if you look at almost every person out there that's got they're an entrepreneur or realtor, whatever, they have a personal reason why they're doing it, right? I mean, it's why you're doing it. I mean, almost always, if you look deep enough, you're like, yeah, because this happened to my parents, or that happened, or this happened, I had a bad experience. It's almost always a bad experience that you want to make sure that the world doesn't happen to the world ever again.
That's funny you said that. I have a mentor that told me one time, he goes, you will learn more from people with scars than you will from people with trophies.
Yeah,
because
true.
the ones with the scars understand the pain and the agony and how to get out of that. The ones with the trophy, sometimes it just fell in their lap, and we're not going to turn that away. That's awesome. We're all looking for that, but it's hard to teach someone when everything's was easy for you. And it's those ones that really address those challenges and persevered, kind of back to that mindset. I think that may have something to do with it, Stephen, is those one that have the scars, they have a pretty good mindset if they're still fighting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I would agree. And Stephen, as you kind of boiled it down, as far as your target market and who you're trying to work with, the people that are in that subset, so to speak, right? They're there because they're already motivated. They've already been somewhat successful enough to the point where they've gotten to that point, and they're motivated. They got the right head on their shoulders. They just need to figure out potentially, how do I take it from point A to point Z, right? Yeah. So how do I elevate my business? And oftentimes it's not that difficult. It's just really, it's organizing things, and it's, making the small changes and the rituals that you may not be doing right now that you need to do to get to that point. So with that, I want to say, let's pause right here, because I do want to get some time in here for our sponsors. I do want to mention them, but what I do want to come back, Stephen, on the back end is talk about a little bit more kind of the blocking and tackling of your business and how you operate, what you offer to your clients and exactly who you're looking for. So I want to dial in a little bit deeper on that coming out of the break here. Is that cool?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Lyndon, let's fire up Mr. Holdberg's, if you've got it.
I got it.
Greg Holdberg's.
There we go.
There we go. All right. So those of you who have been watching the show know Greg very well. He has been on the show. He is the owner of Liberator Health Insurance. Liberator Health Insurance is something that is an alternative to what you may know as the government marketplace programs. So Greg offers something that is very unique and very, I guess, self-driven, I would call it. So it offers you the ability to go out there and find your own doctors, and negotiate your own deals, I would say. They work with all the major providers out there. They cover pretty much anything you're going to need as far as a health need. So you can see it there on the screen: hospitalization, surgeries, doctor visits, no referrals needed, chiropractor visits, pretty much you name it. Greg and his program is going to cover it. So if you need, or even if you're thinking about a change in health insurance, talk to Greg, because if he can help you, he will absolutely point you in the right way. He's a great guy. His information there is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Greg Holdberg, again, is his name. Liberator Health Insurance is his business. You can reach him at 214-886-4688 or visit their website at www.liberatorhealthinsurance.com. So please reach out to Greg. He's also part of the Difference Makers that I think Lyndon mentioned in the show up front. So he will be having a bigger spot on, as part of the overall The Difference program. But yeah, look out for Greg, because he's got a great program and a great offering.
Yep.
Awesome. Let's talk now about the cooks. So
all right.
Pick which cook you want to pull up. All right, we're gonna
ladies first. There we go.
All right, ladies first. Good call, Lennon. So I just want to talk a little bit about Carrie Cook. Carrie Cook is a realtor with Keller Williams Cavalier Realty Group. She is absolutely awesome. I want to read some stats that she has provided, and she is poised and ready to do your listing, because really now is the time to do a listing. I can speak firsthand about that. I've experienced it on both the listing and buying side. This is a seller's market. So have you been debating about selling your home? Did you know there are new builds in the Frisco area that aren't taking any new contracts because they are so far behind in building? Well, guess what? Like I said, we're in a seller's market. So little stats here. The median sales price in Collin County year to date as of December, $402,000. That's up 6.4% from prior year. Average days on market, 48 days, down 20.8% from 2019. Closed sales up 10.2% from prior year. New listings down 8.8%. So I throw those out there to let you know very clearly this is a seller's market. So if you are thinking about selling your home, potentially moving into something different, upsizing, downsizing, whatever it may be that you're looking to do, contact Carrie. She's awesome. Very good friend of mine, and I highly recommend her. All right. Move over to her husband Daniel's business. So Daniel and Carrie also partner up on Cook DFW Roofing and Restoration. So Daniel has been in the roofing business for a bit of time, and he decided to start his own business back in December. And you can see up on the screen there all the things that they have to offer. I won't go through all that in detail, but what I will say is that Daniel is very customer service oriented. So he is all about you as the client and consumer, right? I can speak directly because I know that he partners up actually with another referral partner of mine to do gifts, thank you gifts for his clients that actually use his services literally on his own dime, just strictly as a thank you for being part of his business. But I mean, what I will say is, there's 3,000 plus roofers out there in the Metroplex here, and there's probably going to be about another 3,000 more if we have a hailstorm. What you want in that situation is somebody you can trust and somebody who will take care of you as the client. And I can say with an open heart here that Daniel is that kind of guy, right? So please, if you have any sort of roofing needs, any sort of reconstruction needs, reach out to Daniel. His information has been scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Reach out to him at 1-833-COOK-DFW. And you can see his website as well. His email address, daniel@cookdfw.com.
All right.
All right.
Good people, good professionals too. So
yeah, they're great people, and that's why that's what we look to have on the show, right? Is folks that do it the right way, service their clients the right way, treat people the right way, and just good humans. And that's what Greg and Carrie and Daniel are all about. Stephen as well. So bringing that back into the fold here, Stephen, I did want to dive in a little bit more. So we know kind of what your target is and what your goal is for your clients, right? And that is essentially to make the most important thing first and foremost in their life, right? So it's not business, it's family, or basically find that balance, right?
Right.
So that being said, tell us a little bit about your program, about what you do with your clients, how that looks, what they can potentially expect to go through. Because I know I've needed it. Lendon's an old high school football coach, right?
Right.
He's kicked plenty of young kids' asses and gotten them into shape, right? I know I've needed some of that as I've gone along, and either your ego gets too big or you think you know what you're doing, but you really don't. So you need some accountability there along the way. So just tell us how that all works.
Well, you just said most of it right there. So in almost all businesses, you need three things. Now, there's the 3 L's in realtors, the listings, leads, and leverage. So, but let's just go ahead and put listings in with leads because you're actually getting the same thing there. It's just a better lead, right? Okay. But the third one is accountability. You just said it, an accountability partner, someone that'll say basically, hey, did you do what you said you were going to do? You did? Great. You didn't? Why not? How are you going to fix it? That's all I do with my clients when we talk about the accountability time. I ask them, what did they do right this week? Great. What did we do wrong? And how are we going to fix it? And then after we get those done, then if they have specific problems, we go into those. I needed to hire somebody else, or this came up or that came up. But it's all about getting the structure down. And we talked about how to fill the calendar first, right? And that's what we do. And we finally get, yes, to the business side of it. But here's the thing. People say they don't have time. Average person watches 3 to 4 hours of TV every night. And you're telling me you don't have time, right? You don't have time to spend with your family. That's not family time. Everybody's sitting and watching TV. That's not family time, right? So you get the games out, get to talk about to your kids about what happened at school, and do stuff like that. But when we get back, sorry, I get off to that side. That's where I'm really passionate about people doing that. But as far as their business goes, all you've got to do is just simply put it on the calendar. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't get done. Now, here's what happens. And this is why most entrepreneurs fail right here. They've got 20 things on the calendar for today, and they get 5 of them done before shiitake happens, right? It happens for me. It happens for you. It happens for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. And so they get 5 things out of the 20 done, and they say, I failed. A pilot going to New York fails 99% of the time. He's going to the left too much, to the right, up, down. He's got to but he gets there, right? And that's all that list is for. I mean, yeah, you got to get it done, but that's all that list is for, is to keep you on target, right? And next day you might have to do something different. Maybe some of those things that you thought you had to do, you really didn't have to do, right? So you get everything on the calendar, and then you get the leverage. You get the help, right? Like I alluded to earlier, you don't have to answer your emails. You don't have to take your phone calls, right? There are people that can do that. Well, they're not personable. Hey, there's a thing called training. You could do that. Or they can just sift through. Like another reason why I don't answer my phone, literally, unless you're on there and it happens to be the time and I'm like, oh, wow, look, so-and-so's calling. The only reason I don't do it is because half of them are people trying to sell me something and I don't even know who they are. Mm-hmm. Right. And so it's just a waste of time. So we start learning to do things. I have this part of my program called No to Say No. Right. You got to know how to say no. Right. And that's, again, the monkey, the squirrel brain. Right. I call it the monkey brain, but squirrel. Right. So you've got to learn how to say no, because your time is more valuable. And if you say yes to something, you say, I can't say no. Well, if you're saying yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And usually it's the more important thing, right? So if somebody comes in and says, Brian, I've got a problem. I need you to solve it. And you're like, well, I'm really busy with this project right now, Brian. But you know what? If things change, I'll be able to help you. But Brian, you're a pretty smart guy. I'm pretty sure you can figure it out. Just said no, right? Mm-hmm. You can do these things. And you say you can't say that to a person. Well, Lyndon is my calendar keeper. Go talk to Lyndon, and Lyndon will say no. Right? He'll say, yeah, well, Brian's got a really full schedule right now, and just boom, right? So, but learn to say no, learn to delete and delegate, and everything will fall. And so here's the thing: everybody goes on vacation. Hopefully, you go on vacation, or let's just say you're driving to work or driving to Walmart. Can you do it? Can you do it blindfolded? No, I've got to make adjustments. Well, that's the same thing. You just start. You go, well, that'll never get me to $1 million. It started you to the $1 million, right? You have to make adjustments along the way. That's why you need an accountability partner to make those adjustments along the way. Because if the pilot going to New York doesn't make an adjustment and it's a 5-hour flight for an hour, that's a lot of energy to bring that plane back on, right? So
I think that's awesome. That's awesome insight, and I'll pull a couple nuggets out of there. I think that is valuable to me. And I think, number one being really mindset, right? So, you talk about adjustments and having 20, 30, whatever the number is of things on your to-do list that you don't get done every day. Well, guess what? That's a reality. I can speak to that personally. I have a bunch of stuff on my to-do list that unfortunately doesn't get done or gets partially addressed every day. And I can't be at the end of the day and look back and say, you know what, I was a total failure because I didn't get them all done. It's okay. Well, what's our plan of attack to get this one done, get that one done, get this one done? As long as there's at least a glide path, to go back to your pilot reference, as long as there's a path to get there, you're still winning, right? And I think it's that positivity mindset that you can't beat yourself up because you didn't get everything done on that list, but you have a glide path to get there. That's number one. And then, I think number two, gosh, I was writing it down as we were talking, but no, I mean, it's I think that simplification factor, I know what it was. It was that ability to say no.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've learned that over, everybody learns that over the course of their life, but until you get into a situation where you have to make the decisions, and if you say yes or no to something, that could potentially increase or decrease your business. There's a very direct line of yes or no. And so I've gotten very succinct about what I say yes to and what I say no to. And I'm thinking of it from the lens of marketing, but it applies to everything, right? So however you spend your time, that is absolutely applicable. And I've gotten very clear on my marketing lens, what I'm going to say yes to and what I'm going to say no to, and what I'm going to dedicate dollars to and dedicate time to.
Absolutely. So you've got it. So, but you drank the Kool-Aid, you understand, right? I mean, but it's funny. I say that and people are like, haha, that's funny. And then, so as soon as we finish here, everybody's going to agree with what I said, and they're not going to do anything about it. Action is the thing that you've got to do. You've got to, the pilot knows he needs to make that correction, but he decides to wait. Well, waiting just delays the inevitable. So in martial arts, because I've done martial arts for a long time, if you keep ducking down lower and lower to try and miss it, it just makes the punch harder and harder when it finally hits you, right? And so if you keep avoiding making those decisions, you just dig yourself deeper and deeper into the hole until it's super hard to get out. And lastly, but not least, the mind is not made for greatness. People don't realize that. They're like, why am I not? Well, if the mind's not, it's made for survival. So 20, 30,000 years ago, there was no Walmarts, right? And so if the bush shook and I said, you know what, I'm going to go see what that is. And you said, you know what, I'm going to wait and see. Right. And it was a tiger. It ate me. So I didn't reproduce. And you did. Right. And again, 20, 30,000 years ago, if you were the tribal leader and I upset you, you kicked me out of the tribe. And back then that was certain death. You had to have a tribe to survive. Right. And so people don't realize that genetically we are imposed to stay not average, but just a little bit below the herd. So we don't want to stick our heads up because they're going to get knocked off. And so we have to, and the brain is only designed to do one thing, and that's survive. And happy things do not challenge your survival. That's why the news only shows 99% of the time negative stuff, right? Because their job is not to sell you news, it's to sell you toothpaste and tennis shoes. And they got to keep you engaged to do that, right? At the very end, they have their puppy dog clothes with something cool, warm, and fuzzy, right? So, but, and just since I'm on my rant, they're actors. Those announcers are actors. Otherwise, how could they be crying at one time, mad at another, happy, sad, indifferent? No, they're actors because their job is to sell you something, right? So the mind is only designed to do one thing. So 95% of the brain is designed for survival. That's where all your habits are, good or bad. The brain doesn't care. as long it's the most economical thing. We walk the most economically way, right? So it's just about conserve as much energy as possible. That's 95% of your brain. 5% of your brain is what we call the monkey brain or the squirrel brain, right? It keeps you alive and active so you don't get bored, because if you get bored, you're just going to die, right? So that's there. That's there. And then the other 5%, 95 plus 5 that's 100%. We don't have any more room. But there's another 5%. That's what I call the Yoda or the sage brain. And it fights the monkey brain all the time. And that's what makes you great. If you can get rid of the monkey traits and get the sage brain to always do those right things, then you'll succeed. And that's the battle that Michael Jordan, when everybody knows that he was kicked from the varsity ball team. He had great talent. Everybody's got talent. That's what his coach said. But he got kicked. Why? Because he didn't have the sage brain kicked in right then. It was the monkey brain. Yeah, I can goof off. I got, the girls like me and I'm cool and I'm this, right? He went home and his mom said, no, you got kicked because you're lazy. And what do we know him as? The hardest working basketball athlete almost out there at all. Because then he said, all right, monkey brain gone, sage brain on, right? And but now here's the thing. Look at him now. 30, 40 pounds overweight. Not the Michael Jordan that we remember, right? Because he doesn't have that goal. He doesn't have those dreams and aspirations. So he went back to his natural state, which is to be lazy, which is why we have to continually find people to help motivate us and keep us accountable, because that's the state that we'll naturally go back to.
Yeah, and you bring up Jordan, and I will say, I was lucky enough so I'm a Chicago guy by birth, right? So I was lucky enough to play high school basketball and into college watching Michael Jordan and the Bulls as a Bulls fan, as a Jordan fan, and then later on, so he is my GOAT, right? Like we're talking about Tom Brady and the Super Bowl and everything else. Yeah, Tom Brady's the GOAT of football. Wayne Gretzky's the GOAT of hockey. Michael Jordan, in my opinion, the GOAT of basketball. You guys can argue all you want, but
I agree with you.
Platform. And all those guys have qualities that made them exactly what they were. And to some degree, they're motivating and elevate every other one of their teammates. And to another degree, it can put them down or alienate them from their teammates, right? And what I didn't realize growing up as a kid, I looked at Michael Jordan as, hey, he's the superhero basketball player that I aspire to be. Obviously don't have the physical gifts that he ever did or does. But I looked at, I tried to emulate my game after him, whether it be work ethic and jump shot, everything. I didn't have the tongue waggle, but, I couldn't pull that off. But, there's so many things that I tried to take out of his game. And you look at that, and then now I as an adult, fast forward 20 years, and you look at the documentary that came out on Michael Jordan, you're right. Like it's kind of eye-popping and eye-opening to me. It totally made me look at him through a different lens and appreciate him a different way, good and bad, because there was, I looked at him through rose-colored glasses, I would say, as a kid, and then I have a different perspective as an adult. That being said, his leadership skills, without a doubt, you can't hard to argue, right? He is the GOAT. So yeah, that's my perspective on Michael Jordan. I'm glad you brought that up because that is near and dear to my heart. I idolized him growing up as a kid, being from Chicago, and yeah, different lessons taken as we get older.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have one question for you, Stephen. We talked a little bit about this before the show started, and talking about all the responsibilities that a self-employed entrepreneur has. You're the CEO. You're the You're the janitor, you're the marketer, you're everything, right? And the buck stops with you. And a lot of us that get into our businesses get in there because we have a particular skill or a passion for that work, right? So sometimes we go from the employee to the entrepreneur. And so we may be skilled at that work. We may have 5, 10, 15 years of experience in that particular field. But when you become an entrepreneur, you don't have all the experiences of all those different hats that you have to wear. How important is it? Because I think this is what you talked about, accountability. We know that. How important is it to have a coach, to have a mentor, so that the learning curve on a lot of those other particular responsibilities is shortened? Because yes, we can Google it, we can buy books, but every minute that I spend studying, which is important, we still need to do it, self-improvement, but every minute is a minute away from me producing more revenue sometimes. Long term, it's going to be a great investment. Having a coach, though, doesn't that shorten that learning curve, or at least, as you said, help you understand how to delegate certain things that you may not have the time to develop that skill in?
Yeah. So here's the thing. What if I could guarantee you that if you read these set of books, which are going to take you 6 months to read, that after that, you would be successful? Let's just say that you read them. You're absolutely right. Why are you reading somebody but I've got a guy here that can start me right now. He's done all those books, done all this other stuff. He's got all of the knowledge. He knows where the roadmap, what I call the roadmap, it says. He knows where the divots are. He knows where the wreck is. He knows all of that stuff. Why would you want to do that? And just let this guy help you go all the way, or girl, right? And that you're absolutely right. That it is because the reason they got into it, like a mechanic, he opens up a body shop or whatever, right? He's a real good painter, or he's really good at this, but that doesn't mean he's really good at running a business. He just likes fixing cars or painting cars, right? That doesn't mean he's good at running a business. So he gets the books. I met a lady the other week. She was buying a book about marketing. I was like, so I helped her out a little bit, but that's another story. But she's buying a book about marketing, and I'm like, hey, Fiverr, you want your webpage to get more hits? Go to Fiverr. These people geek out on it. Why would you not do that? Why would you want to spend hours and headaches trying to solve problems where there are other people that will do it for you faster, cheaper, and love what you do? See, the mechanic got into fixing cars because he loved tinkering. He didn't like doing paychecks and paying the bills and doing this and doing that. And no, he just likes fixing cars. Right.
And you know what else? It's funny you said that, because I was having a conversation with someone the other day. I've got a cabin up in Oklahoma, and I did the electrical wiring. I did the insulation. I did the plumbing. I've done all of it. I've done laid stone for countertops. And they go, "How do you like that?" I said, "You know what? It's fun." But what I realized is just because I can do it doesn't mean that I'm a craftsman. So it was a rewarding time spent. But then looking back at it, had I hired somebody, it would have been much, much more professional and better. And I think that I can read those books. Like you said, I can spend 6 months reading those books and educating myself how to do it, but it doesn't mean I'm going to do it great.
Yeah. And, there's a reason why kids right out of college don't get paid the big bucks. It's called work experience. You got to go through the school of hard knocks, right? Yeah. On the books, it says you should do this. Most professors, now that's Dave Dinks and others. He was a professor, the military real estate investor and agent, co-author. He was a professor, but he wanted to see what he was teaching would work. And of course, as we know, it kind of worked like really well.
Yeah.
But even he said, "Hey, I got to test this." Right. And I'm sure that he made tweaks throughout his time. Right. So, yeah.
Well, Landon, welcome to the world of property management, because I can do toilets, I can do some drywall here and there, I can do painting. That's not what I'm in business for. It's called, delegating, Stephen, is You talk about it in your business practices. It's I can't do it all, but that's why we have businesses and partners that we can delegate to. So yeah, that's a great lesson for sure. Awesome. Well, hey, I mean, I'm looking at the clock here. We're right up against it on the time. Anything else, Stephen, that you want to share about your business? Any contact information that you want to get out there?
Actually, I'm getting ready to do 2 workshops. One is for realtors only, and it's taken them from 100,000 to $1 million. And if you go to my website, there's a real special, super special deal. And then I'm doing another one because I've worked with other businesses too. They just come to me, plumbers, electricians, bill collectors, attorneys, whatever. And I'm going to do another one just for them, as specific, basically generic businesses, and then one for realtors. And so if you want to get on the scorecard and be at the top of your game, seek me out.
Okay, cool. When do you have those on the calendar yet, or what's the best time?
It's going to start in March.
Okay.
So there's a timer when you go into my website and you finally get down to that. There's a timer. It says, "Hey, this is the amount of time," and there's a questionnaire that you fill out, and then we see if you're a good fit, right? So because these people are going to have me for a year, so they're all going to become millionaires. So I want to make sure that I've got the right recipe, right? They might be the right person, but at the wrong time in their life, right? So and the same thing for other businesses. So but yeah, it's coming, and it's gonna. So the reason is because I used to do everything face to face, but with COVID, now I'm putting everything on video, and so we're going to video the whole thing, and then they're going to edit it, and then it's going to be shipped out, and that's how I'm going to be selling the program. But these people, not only do they get the program, but they get me for a whole year, saying, "No, do this, do that. Yeah, that was a good idea. Go over here." And so it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun ride. I'm excited about it.
Awesome. Well, awesome. They're buckled in for a year, whether they like it or not, huh?
Oh, they'll like it. But you're right though. It's simple but not easy.
Well, one of the things that I told you when we met, earlier this week is, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing, right? So just because it's easy doesn't mean you're not getting any better. You got to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, have people call you to the carpet, have that accountability partner that you may not have the right answer for them, but guess what? They're going to get to the right answer at the end of the day. And if you don't get there, you're not going to be successful. So, I look forward to hearing more about those experiences. Look forward to working with you more personally. What I do want to mention to the audience before we sign off here, I've mentioned it in previous shows, but we do have a seminar that we're doing. Brian Dobbs is a realtor, has his own program on the difference. I believe he's mentioned it on his show as well, but we have a multifunctional team that's putting on a real estate investment seminar going forward, and we have one on the books for February 18th at Jake's in downtown Frisco, right across the street from the Toyota Stadium, from 6 to 8 p.m. So I want to socialize that here. Please come out. We have free appetizers, free education. There's no obligations whatsoever. Just come out, learn about real estate investing. Len and you've been to one of our previous seminars, so you can speak a bit to it. But it is literally no pressure, hopefully 100% educational, and we are out there to help you guys get involved in real estate investing.
Yep, it is. It's incredibly enlightening. I've been around mortgage and real estate for 20 years, and the things that I heard at this one 6 months ago, 7 months ago, whenever y'all had the first one, was incredible. And anyone that comes out, if you want to be a homeowner, if you want to be an investor, if you just want to be a homeowner, you're going to learn how to really maximize and get the most financial benefit out of that from what you guys are offering.
Hey, I didn't know about this, but I want to plug you because one of the questions I ask realtors is, how's your portfolio? What? I sell houses. Yeah. And you know what the pros and cons are, right? So
Right.
how's your portfolio, right? Eat your own cooking.
You're exactly right. There
you go.
realtors that got to figure out, hey, there's a lot of money to be made in real estate. So why am I not in it? You know, why don't I have my own portfolio? Exactly right.
Crazy.
Awesome. Well, you know what, guys? Hey, it's been awesome hanging out with you guys this afternoon. Stephen, thank you for coming on the show. Like I said, I'm happy to be able to spotlight what you do for business owners, entrepreneurs. I think you have something really awesome to offer. So please, if you guys have seen this and need that extra call kick in the pants to get from level A to level Z, call up Steven. He's great. He's a high energy dude. And he wears some bright outfits. So, and some awesome glasses as well.
Yep.
But yeah, no. So thanks again for coming on, Steven. Thanks again to our sponsors, Greg Holberg, Daniel Cook, Kerry Cook. Appreciate you guys. Look them up if you need any help in the real estate, health insurance, and roofing markets. But until then, we've got another show next Thursday, 1 p.m. Got some awesome guests coming up. Jessica Spencer will be on next week, as well as another couple guests. So we will see you then. Bye now.